so stressed?
Talk. I'm not stressed. You're making me stressed.
Welcome to our 5th annual online Christmas concert. So great to see you. Well, I can't actually see you, but I know you're there because I see you in the chat. If you just joined us, go into the chat area, click hello, click Merry Christmas, write something down, interact with us. It's going to be a bit of an interactive evening, and my lovely wife Nancy is right here to help us with the interaction. She's going to be monitoring the chat while I'm kind of doing my thing here at the piano.
Cheers, everybody. Merry Christmas.
So I just wanted to say that there's a couple of people that are joining us this evening that are really special. My son and his new bride-to-be, Alicia. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And for all my other friends and family who are scattered throughout the planet, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We totally get that it's a busy time of year, and the fact that you chose to spend some time with us is just excellent, would you say?
I'm thrilled.
So let's give a toast and wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to run upstairs and
Okay.
go do my job, and I'm going to be chatting to all of you who have questions. But Paul, at the end of the concert, I think you will be looking at the chat and answering any questions. They could be technical, musical.
Yeah, don't look at me.
Well, I'm just making sure that you are going to do it. Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick around after I'm done playing and answer any questions and just kind of chat with those of you that showed up and are kind of still here at the end. So just a couple of things about the music. I have chosen quite a few Christmas selections. All of the music that you're going to hear this evening is 100% improvised. So you're probably wondering, why don't I have any sheet music or anything? Well, I could do that, or I could just learn the basic tune and then improvise over top of that. And that's what I intend to do this evening with pretty much every song. So if you're not familiar with the improvisation process, it's a bit of a language. There's some scales and some arpeggios and some chord progressions and some other things that are thrown in there to kind of make decent music. And I kind of make things up as I go along. I hope that doesn't deter you from watching, because I've been doing it for a long time, and I guarantee you it will sound like music. So I'm going to dive in right away and get started. Again, just let us know that you're in the chat area by saying Merry Christmas, and if you want to chat back and forth between you and other people on the chat, that'd be great. Let's get started with a Christmas classic that I think you'll instantly recognize. just getting warmed up, of course. That was Santa Claus is Coming to Town. My name is Paul Tobey. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It is definitely a busy time of year, and the fact that you showed up here, I'm super appreciative of that. If you've just joined us, go into the chat area and chat with a few friends and just say Merry Christmas or have a toast, have a drink. We are definitely having fun playing Christmas music. It's my favorite thing to do. I've been doing it for many years. In fact, if we haven't, or you don't already notice this, it's our 5th year doing this particular concert online, and it's a real pleasure to do it. And of course, this is the first time that we do it from my new studio here in Niagara-on-the-Lake. As I look around me, I look at all the renovation that's been done in this room. It's acoustically really great. It's got my piano here and all my gear around here, but also for visiting musicians, there's a bedroom and a bathroom as well, and a door that locks, so they have their own private entrance, and we can record in here, and that's the plan, is to make some upcoming albums. I actually already recorded an entire solo jazz piano album that will be coming out this year, so that's a lot of fun for me to do that. We're now in the mastering and mixing process, so we'll get it out as soon as possible. I do want to make mention that somebody dropped a gift off at my door, and I only read the card, and it says, "Sit back and enjoy and relax with a glass of this after the concert tonight." So somebody brought this, and it's like a secret Santa thing. I have no idea, but you know who you are. But what is it? It is a USA piece of wood and it's a glass, a serious glass. I'm going to have to read up about this when I have more time, but that looks pretty interesting. So for whoever brought that, maybe you could kind of let us know in the chat area, because we literally have no idea. We saw a car drive away, but we don't know whose car it is. All right, let me get back to some music now. I hope you're having a good time. I'm going to play one of my favorite Christmas tunes, which is basically a ballad. We'll see what we can do with this one. It's called "I'll Be Home for Christmas." So I got a bit of feedback from someone that the mic was a bit too low, but the piano is fine. So it's good that the piano's fine. Maybe someone could tell me if the mic is a little bit louder now and a little bit more appropriate. I'm actually watching the chat, so if you could tell me, that would be great. So yes, I'll be home for Christmas. I am going to be home for Christmas. I didn't think I was going to be, but I am, and it's nice to be home. I can tell you that music and the piano has been a big part of our lives, my life in particular, for the better part of 52 years, 53 years, I think I've been playing the piano. That's a long time to do something, and eventually music becomes very joyful because you can pretty much sit down and play almost anything and enjoy it, because it's really all about getting music from within the music. Like there's the standard song. I mean, let's take I'll Be Home for Christmas. I mean, you all recognize the melody right off the bat, but then as I get into it, I start to find other melodies within the same tune. I start to find other chord progressions. Now, some of those chord progressions are coming from other tunes. Some of them are just sort of, it just feels right to go in that direction. And so when I said earlier that it's an entire evening of improvised Christmas music, it literally is. I mean, every single thing that you hear, I've never played it before like that. I've played the tune before, but I haven't necessarily played it like that. There are some exceptions, though, and I think to kind of give you an example of the difference between jazz and classical music or music that you learn from sheet music, I'm going to play something that didn't come from sheet music, but if I didn't work out this particular arrangement ahead of time, then it probably would have been a bit of a train wreck because it's a very difficult thing to play. And I know you'll recognize it is, of course, Sleigh Ride, but the arrangement that I'm going to do is not typically done on piano. It's done by orchestra, and the arrangement is by Leroy Anderson. We used to do this in high school, and for those of you, and I know there's a few of you that still connect with me from high school, and by the way, my father passed away last month, so it's tough for me this year. For those of you that came to my dad's celebration of life, thank you so much for doing that. But even in the church, and I'll play some things that I used to play as a kid in the church, like Silent Night, so you have that one to look forward to. But Sleigh Ride was something that we did with the concert band, and I remember very specifically playing it one year in our church. The entire concert band basically set up in my dad's church. I'm a preacher's kid, so that my father had a church called Colburn Street United, and we had a connection from our music program through me, I guess, and Paul Raymond, if he's here. Thank you, Paul, for being here if you are. I think you are. And so this is called Sleigh Ride. I played this a couple of years ago, and I just decided to kind of rework it a little bit this year, and I would say I probably practiced it a few times, but it's still sort of mostly worked out. A lot of it is improvised, but it's mostly worked out. So here we go, Sleigh Ride. fun. I got through most of it. There was a couple of things that I probably wouldn't have done again. When I did get into the sort of improvised jazz section, I probably should have stayed there a little bit longer because that's where I'm most comfortable. But yeah, Leroy Anderson's version of Sleigh Ride. You know, interesting thing about that song. One second. Thank you. Interesting thing about that song and the band. I don't know if my brother Martin is joining us from Indiana. I invited him. I know he's really, really busy. But if you're there, Martin and Liz, I just had a great time visiting them and their family at Thanksgiving. I went to my first American Thanksgiving, and it was so much fun. I'm so planning on going back again soon. But I remember Martin was our percussionist, or one of the percussionists in our high school band, and he had the ominous task of hitting the whip whenever the song came around to that point. Like this part. Whack. You had to hit it on the beat. And it was always like a big deal if it was on the beat or a little bit off the beat or whatever. But I can tell you, every time that happened, we would hold our breath, and he got it most of the time. I remember in the concerts he would do really well. Sometimes in rehearsal, I think he might have fallen asleep behind the bass drum or something like that. But yeah, that's the one thing I remember about that tune. And that's the very arrangement that we used to play in the concert band. Of course, I was just playing clarinet, and I didn't have to do all the parts. But I tried to get everything in there, you know, like the trombones and everything like that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Interesting seeing some of the comments in the chat area. So, hey, thanks for doing that. I know some of you are on televisions and you can't really do that, but it's great that you're here anyway. What am I going to play next? Let me. That was really, really fast. So I said earlier that I was going to play Silent Night, and I did a rearrangement of this just recently. It's a very simple version, but I think it gets to the heart of the song. It's really all about peace and calm and serenity at this time of year. Of course, for many, it's a holy night. And so the whole concept of spirit and energy just takes a break, and this peace and calm come over the planet. And I really try to capture, and I'm not exactly sure how it's going to come out, but I really try to capture the essence of Silent Night when I play this. Right, so maybe it got a little less calm and serene somewhere in there. I don't know, I think the tune is very bluesy. There's definitely space for blues scales, blues ideas, and I just kind of went there for a couple of minutes. I hope you enjoyed that. It was definitely fun for me. One thing I find even challenging even now is keeping the tune recognizable while improvising. So obviously you're making up other melodies and things, but you try to keep the original feel and the melody in your head at all times so that you're not A, losing your place, and B, so that you, the audience, can kind of follow along and go, I know where we are, I'm singing Silent Night in my head, but there's some different instrumentation going on behind those thoughts in your head. Anyway, that's kind of the way I look at things. If you just joined us, my name is Paul Tobey. I really appreciate you coming. Yes, busy time of year. The fact that you showed up is amazing. I really appreciate it. For those of you that might have to leave a little early and you want to watch the entire thing, this might be a good time to mention that there will be a recording of it at a later time. So it'll just get posted on the YouTube channel when we're done. Okay. So let's do a little thing. My favorite Christmas time movie or show or piece of entertainment was A Charlie Brown Christmas. And obviously there's tunes like Oh Christmas Tree, and then there's Christmas Time Is Here, and then there's Skating, and then there's Christmas Is Coming. It's like all these tunes by Vince Guaraldi. I actually have the LP version. It's like the full record that I have. I just put a new stereo together this year. That was kind of fun. And so I've been listening to it lately. And the one tune that kind of stood out for me a little bit was this tune called Skating, which is basically when Snoopy takes to the ice and skates with his feet. I mean, I don't know how he carves circles and does pirouettes with his feet. He must have like really sharp nails or something, because he just kind of glides along without any skates on. So it's kind of funny. And I'm going to play Skating. And I'm not exactly sure entirely how this version is going to come out, but we'll give her a go. That was tiring, actually. It takes a bit of energy to play that tune. It kind of jumps around from these really difficult triplet things. You're playing like two fingers fast at the same time, and trying to get that even is not the easiest thing, and your hand sort of just cramps up and does what it wants to do instead. And then, of course, you get into the solo section, and you've got to keep that left-hand bass going, get all the soloing in there. I mean, I'm just telling you what's in my head, because that's how I enjoy music. It's very much a mental and spiritual and physical exercise. And that's just kind of the way I look at it. I hope you're having a good time. Again, Nancy and I want to welcome you to our home here just before Christmas. How many of you have actually got your Christmas all done and ready to go? Presents wrapped? Food all prepared? Yeah, one of these days I'm going to start. But obviously, I've been busy doing other things like figuring out live stream, because I don't do this very often, and it's a new place. I had to set everything up, so I've just been kind of busy. So tomorrow, I'm going to get down to it. I got a list of tunes here that I can pick from. We're probably not going to get to all of them, but let me see. Let's do something from, because I like to go fast, slow, kind of gives me a chance to catch a breath. Let's go to my church that I grew up in, called Colburn Street United, where my father was the minister. And yes, we will miss him at this time of year. It's relatively new for us, so yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, there was a few songs that we would do every year. One of them was Silent Night, and the other one is Hark, the Herald Angels Sing. And this is something that I have never, until this year, have never really looked at as an adult or as a professional jazz musician. I'm not sure why I didn't, because I think it makes some beautiful sounds. And I'm even going to probably try it in a couple of different keys just to figure out where it's going to go. The harmony is a little tricky, so we'll see how this goes. This is Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Yeah, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. I read a post recently. There's a group on Facebook. You probably wouldn't be a member because it's really just for jazz pianists. There's like 150,000 of us kind of scattered all over the planet. And somebody wrote, "Don't play jazz chords in church." Yeah, I totally get that. It depends on the context and it depends on what tune you're playing. But I think that song and many other songs like it are basically church songs. And they sound great as jazz. So whoever wrote that, I think maybe has a somewhat limited view of what's possible with music when you start to rearrange it and reharmonize it and find other avenues for creative expression. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one. Let's play a little something from The Sound of Music, because a lot of people think this is a Christmas tune. It's called My Favorite Things. Yeah, that was okay. It was fun. It got a little like loose in places. It happens with tunes that you literally don't practice. I put it on the list because, and then I'm reading it, it's going, yeah, I haven't played that in a while. It's pretty obvious, I think. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. It took me a while to find the melody. Anyway, this is actually another one of my favorite Christmas tunes. The interesting thing about this one is, and it is another hymn called God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. I know you pretty much recognize all the music that we're playing here. But again, I try to find interesting progressions and things to play. Actually, I probably should talk about something else other than music. If you want me to talk about something else, just kind of put it in the comments and let me know if you want me to, I don't know, talk about Niagara on the Lake or something. But this is our home in Niagara on the Lake, and I'm more into music at this moment, so that's kind of why it's in my head. God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, again, it's kind of like everybody recognizes the tune, but the interesting part is you have to find really nice and really sort of like progressions that turn the ear on its head. There's kind of, I want you to listen and see if you can hear it, but it starts out simple, but then when it gets into like the reharmonization part, I try to find like progressions that kind of turn the ear a little bit and go, wow, it's not one chord together, but it's a series of chords together. So hope you can pick that out. That was fun. You can always tell when I'm having more fun with some tunes than other tunes, because when I got going with like the block chords, you know what block chords are? Block chords are like a series of like chords that you play with pretty much every finger you have in some kind of sequence, like this. Basically what you're doing is you're following the chord progression, but putting in lots of passing chords and trying to get the dissonance out of those things. And that's what's fun. So thank you. I can see that people have figured out how to give big hands in the chat area. I like that. That's really nice. Shout outs to Bob, Kathleen, Colleen, New in Jazz, French Wave, Francie? Oh, Francie, it's hard to see without my glasses on. For those of you that are here, again, I really appreciate it. We're going to play just a couple of more things. We're going to probably finish by 1:15, and then we'll take a few questions. I just wanted to kind of get the music out of me first. So let's do something a little slower and a little introspective. I'm going to play something that I think you all know, made popular by many, many different people. Not known necessarily as a piano tune, but I really like the melody. Many of you know it as Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, but it's actually called the Christmas Song. And my favorite version of a singer is Mel Torme, and I also like Diana Krall. I know. I like a female jazz singer, I know. Go figure. Let's see what we can make out of this tune. So this is the Christmas Song. Yeah. I think it should be a piano tune. What do you think? Yeah, so that's another Christmas favorite. I'm going to finish off with one tune. And I've left this for the end because there's probably some copyright issues on this. But I learned an arrangement a couple of years ago of Carol of the Bells, which is kind of like a lot of people's favorite Christmas song. In fact, the other day somebody wrote in the Jazz Pianist group, is that the only song I hear on the radio anymore, is Carol of the Bells? Anyway, this is an arrangement by a YouTuber, by a guy named David Hicken. And my wife bought it for me. Nancy bought it for me. I hope you've had fun chatting with Nancy tonight, but she's the one that is Jazzmentl in the chat area. I hope you had fun there, but what was I saying? Yeah, David Hicken. Nancy bought me this arrangement for Christmas, and I sort of miffed my way through it the first year, the second year, and I kind of pull it out a couple of times. I didn't pull it out this year. I didn't pull out the actual arrangement. I just kind of went with what I remembered. So it may not match the original. It'll be close. But this is Carol of the Bells. Sorry, I really just have to kind of warm up for this one. My left hand starts to cramp up a bit. I've had some issues in the past, which is kind of why I left the music business for a long time. And it's still kind of healing, but we'll see if we can make our way through this. I'm just looking at, I know I turned my head to you, but that's because my chat feed is over here on the left with the live stream. So I'm just looking at it. Thank you. I appreciate it. As you can probably tell, there's a lot of notes in that. The hardest thing about that song, though, is this. That left hand that just never stops. You know? It just doesn't stop. And now I can't even play it because my arm is so tired. It's just like, yeah, so I play it basically once a day for like the last couple of weeks. If I get through it, I get through it. If I don't, I don't. I think there was like a couple of little things, but it was still fun. and a real workout, actually. I'm sweating after that one. So I promised that I'd stick around and chat a little bit for those of you that are still here. I'm going to see if I can check out. Oh, my goodness. Lots of people I recognize. Edith Kaza, oh, my goodness. Kathleen Kennedy, Colleen Vanderhoek. Wow. Greg Hobor, oh, my God. Thomas Kaufman, Martin Waugh, all the way from Ireland, I think. No, Scotland? Oh, my God. Where's my head? Scotland, right. Oh, Ireland. Martin Waugh, where are you from exactly? Somewhere over there. Philippe Boussière from Quebec. Awesome, thank you. All right, so any questions that you have, post them in the comments, and let's have a little chat. Bobby Strickland. Oh, another piano player from the Jazz Pianist Group. Thank you. This was, what did he say? Marvelous. Oh, it's underneath the heart. I couldn't read it. Thank you. So people obviously are putting some things in, but if you want to talk to me, like chat, like all you have to do is write something. Paul, are you planning to what? It's underneath the heart. It'll move in a second. Planning to do a live concert. Okay, so my goal for this year, Edith, was 3 concerts. 2 of them were actual physical concerts, and the third one was this one. Now, I wanted a third one at a venue, and I had some sponsors lined up, but we couldn't find a venue. They wanted to do it in Toronto, and it just kind of didn't pan out. So we'll work on something for this year, because my goal for this year is 5 concerts. And I know that sounds strange for someone to think that that's not very much, but for me, who's doing other things and taking care of the YouTube channel, which is growing rapidly, by the way. We just hit 10,000 subscribers last week, which is kind of nice. So it's growing, and I'm kind of taking care of all that, plus business. So a modest goal of 5 concerts for this year, and I'm completely happy with that. As long as they're all sold out, and as long as everybody has a good time, I'm happy with that. The good news is that I don't have to make a living from the music business anymore, which, as many of you may know, it's not the easiest thing to do. So, yes, I have concerts planned. Many of them are in the works, just solid dates and ticket sales. I'll keep you posted on that. But Edith, thank you so much for the question. Sheila Silvera says, what was your first introduction to jazz? I used to improvise a little bit as a kid, and I used to, because my piano teacher was the church organist. His name was Markwell J. Perry, president of the Canadian College of Organists. I actually asked him if I could play the organ when I first started, and he said, no, you can't. Your legs are too short. They're plenty long enough now. But he said, we'll start you on piano first, which is what I did. And I used to do things like The Entertainer from Scott Joplin, and it's not really improvising, it's all written and out, but I used to improvise on my own, and I used to do like, I'd play Mary Had a Little Lamb Happy, and then Mary Had a Little Lamb Sad, you know, kind of like this. didn't really know what I was doing at the time. In fact, that pretty much sounded like I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, I just really got into jazz when I went to Toronto and I saw Oscar Peterson play. I try to model some of my playing after Oscar. I kind of have my own style, but I do some things from Oscar, which I think are important to do. You know, he has a lot of like rhythm and swing. You know, if you listen to Oscar Peterson's playing, it's like, oh yeah, that swings like crazy. And I kind of learned a lot of the swing stuff that they do, like a lot of blues and stuff. So that was kind of my first introduction, and then I kind of went to work like everybody does after high school, and then luckily enough, I broke my leg, and I got some workman's compensation, and that was enough for me to go to college. I took the money from workman's comp, and I went back to school. And then after college, I paid my way through university, and then I got dumped on the street as a professional musician with no idea how to get a gig or no idea how to whatever, and I just kind of muddled my way through until I met Nancy, who then said, okay, we're gonna tackle this thing seriously, and eventually we got a recording contract and things started to move along, and then I started to visit lots of countries and play concerts and things like that. But it was pretty much my first introduction. I think I was 18 years old when I went to see Oscar Peterson. Thank you for the question, by the way. I hope that answered it. How did you find this incredible studio? Charles. Okay. There's a leading question if I ever saw one. So my realtor, his name is Charles Climenhang. He found us this place, and he didn't help me renovate the studio, though. I'm going to get you for that one. But yeah, Charles Climenhang. He's on the call here. We also golf together, which is really fun. He's a very good friend of mine. Keith Tobey, oh my goodness. Nancy, you may recall that I brought my father Paul to see Paul and his quartet in Waterloo, circa 2000 and what? 8? Yeah, I know, it had to be before that. I left the music business in like 2003. I think maybe, unless I'm reading the number wrong, it could be 2003. Anyway. Me sitting here wishing I sounded like him, not knowing what he's doing. He's talking about me? I don't know. That's an interesting comment. Me sitting here wishing I sounded like him. John Smith. That doesn't even sound like a real name. Is that your real name? John Smith? That'd be funny. Wow, these are neat comments. Thank you for them. I probably missed a couple of questions. Maybe I can scroll up here. Oh, yeah, I can. Hang on a second. Andrew Zimble. Oh, my goodness, Andrew. Good to see you, man. Well, I can't see you, but good that you're here. You said the last piece was wonderful. Thank you. You're welcome. Thomas Kaufman. Been great to be here. Have a wonderful Christmas. You too. Let's see. Gary Hendricks. Ooh, Gary. Oh, Niagara and the Laker. Thoroughly enjoyed your concert. Merry Christmas to you, Nancy. You're welcome. Trying to find if there's any questions. Keith Tobey says he was obsessed with John Coltrane's Love Supreme. Paul's band reminded me so much of them. Well, I actually played a little bit like Coltrane tonight when I played Coltrane was really famous for my favorite things. So I tried to do a little bit of Coltrane tonight. Elizabeth, how are you doing? Cousin. Nice. Okay, well, I think people have had enough, and I personally would love to play all night. But in this particular case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to basically say Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. I want to raise a glass to you for showing up tonight. It's not easy when it's such a busy time of year, but it wasn't a huge time commitment. But the fact that you made it, I'm still grateful. So thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah to all our Jewish friends. And there's a lot of them. I think I saw quite a few of them online tonight. And Phil, I was just in Palm Springs visiting you. I saw you were here, so thank you for coming. And everybody else whose name I didn't mention because I didn't see you in the post, and for those of you that didn't have chat, thank you for coming. On behalf of Nancy and myself, and I wish I could say the entire gang, but it's just the two of us. So from Nancy and myself to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks, everyone.